الحمد لله الخالق المبدع من نعمه لا تعد ولا تحصى ومن أمره لا يرد ولا يعصى والصلاة والسلام على النبي المجتبى من الكون به احتفى من سبح في كفه الحصى وعلى آله وأزواجه وأصحابه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الأزفة فمن عمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن عمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. أستعين بالله في كل أموري وأعترف له بقصوري وأستهديه إلى ما فيه فلاحي وسروري وأعوذ به من شر نفسي ومن شر كل نفس من الجن والإنس أطلب منه الهداية سبحانه وأعوذ به من الغواية وأسأله السداد في الأقوال والأعمال والكشف عن البصائر والأبصار ثم أما بعد. Last week we spoke about the hasad, we spoke about the evil eye, correct? And the last thing I think we spoke about was we went through a list of things that people usually use, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram for them to use in order to protect themselves or to ward off the evil eye or the evil envy that can come upon them from the others. We spoke about the concept of hasad, we spoke about the concept of ayn, we spoke about the difference between them, we spoke about the proofs that support them from the Qur'an and from the Sunnah, we spoke about the opinions of the ulama in relation to them, we spoke about the different types and also the means of protection which are allowed in the Qur'an and the Sunnah. And tonight's lesson, inshaAllah ta'ala, will be about possession, and the topic itself is very huge. And people usually are interested in a lot of things that relate to possession, especially the symptoms. But this is not something that I will be delving into. Probably I will be speaking mostly about the causes, about the differences between the scholars of Islam in relation, does possession take place or does it not take place, and the proofs from here and from there. And inshaAllah, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed me to see as the most correct opinion. But before I get into this, and this is from the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that last week, the day after Thursday, on Friday, I went out with a couple of friends for dinner. And that was after a ruqya session we had. We went into a particular restaurant, and as it is the habit today in the restaurants, you'll find the big LCD screens. Wherever you go, they're stuck in every corner, so wherever you turn, you will see them right in your face. And what was interesting is that they had a very nice advertisement on that LCD TV. And the channel that was broadcasted was actually a satellite channel. And guess what the ad for what? Guess what the ad was for? You remember the list or the pictures that I showed you last week? What was the first one I showed you? After we spoke about the red string. The eye, the big, massive blue eye. And the advertisement was for what they call, what is called nazar. Or in Arabic they call it al-ayn al-zarqa, the blue eye. And the advertisement was for you to buy it. And as it is the habit with modern advertisements, what I noticed is that, of course, they have a beautiful lady there who's actually talking to you about how important it is for you to buy it. And then they have technological presentation of how it protects you. So they'll say, it wasn't in Arabic and it wasn't in English, it was a different language, but I'm not going to say which one, so I won't offend anyone. And they say, if you put this on, then what will happen? A blue shield will go around you, and then they'll show the image of someone looking at you like this, and they'll show you a red arrow goes out from him, and then it hits the blue shield and gets reflected, and therefore, you are protected. And of course, the one who's actually advertising it, she's herself wearing it. And what is even more interesting, and the word interesting can stand for many meanings, is that they have managed to make a beautiful package for it. Do you know the software packages like for Microsoft? Have got the white plastic shining container, and they got the massive Photoshop pictures and design they put on it. They've done exactly the same. It's beautifully displayed, beautifully packaged, and what is also interesting is that you can buy it from anywhere in the world. So they accept credit card, and they accept money order, and they accept PayPal, and you can pay anyway. They accept payment through the internet. Just buy it. And I was sitting with my friends, and I said to him, look, that's something that we were talking about. That's something that I was talking about yesterday. And even though some people think sometimes that we speak about issues which are irrelevant, but that was a live testimony for me to see in my own eyes that it is out there and people are advertising it, and there are people out there who are buying it. Even in an age where humans claim that they have advanced so much and they don't believe in suspicious beliefs or practices and so forth, it is still there. People believe in it and people are buying it. And I can't remember the price, I think, but the price was through TV, through everything. And those who actually market for these beliefs, these objects, manage to find modern ways to actually sell you the haram objects that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited, and one of them is eye. Last week, one of the brothers came up to me with a very innocent question, but it was an important question, and I want to speak about it to the topic. He said to me, how about if someone gets this eye, gets this hand, or this red string, or whatever object he is using, he gets it and he hangs it on him. He hangs it on himself. And then he says, I don't believe in you. I believe that only Allah can protect me. Okay, so even if you can't protect me, you're protecting me through Allah. Does this make this action free of shirk? And does this make this action accepted? The answer is very simple. And it lies in two words. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to you, you are allowed to use this mean or not? This is the question I'll pose to you. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said yes, then yes. And if Allah said no, then no. And we cannot use the argument of qadr, the argument of decree, in relation to things like this, because nothing happens in the universe without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nothing happens in the universe without knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nothing happens in the universe without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But does Allah subhanahu love for you to do this or not? Does Allah subhanahu permit for you to do this or not? He doesn't. And that is the answer for your question. And that is that it is haram for you to hang it on you, whatever it is, if it is the blue eye, if it is the bullet that is put on the head, if it is the hand, whatever it is, whatever mean it is, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you are not allowed to use it. On the tongue of who? On the tongue of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay, many hadith. One of them, man ta'allaqa tamimatan faqad ashraka. Hadith is found in Muslim Imam Ahmad. Whoever hangs on himself a talisman or an amulet, and talisman is something that can be engraved. Like if I get a ring and I engrave on a particular shape, and I believe that this shape can protect me. Or a talisman is something that, or an amulet is something that actually you can wear like a string. All the pictures that we showed last week, the Rasul says, whoever wears on himself some of this, then he has committed what? Shirk. And the issue is that I'm not coming across from a particular school. And I'm not giving you the view of a particular group, of a particular school. This is an issue where there's no differences between the scholars in relation to it. Okay, there's no scholar that came and said, no, I believe in it, like we're going to talk about position today. There's no one genuine there that has any credibility in the Sharia that has said, yes, you can wear a red string or blue string or a yellow string or whatever it is to protect yourself. And what you are doing here is you are risking something that relates to your faith, something that if you do it intentionally, and that's something that is very important for us to clarify as well, whoever does it intentionally, then he has taken himself, he has kicked himself out. No one else. He has forced himself out of this beautiful faith because he has done something that Allah does not accept for him. And the other question that I have to you is that if you are willing to have that conviction that only Allah can harm you and protect you, and if you are willing to believe that this is nothing but a mean for your protection, what stops you from using the means that Allah has put for you to protect yourself. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught you on the tongue of His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam supplications and adhkar for them to be made, and that will protect you. He taught you surah that you can read, and we mentioned them last week, and that will protect you. He taught you how to stop your nafs from actually envying someone, and that will protect you. Why do you want to leave what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught you and go for something that has been introduced by someone at a particular stage in history because he had some interest, or something that has been introduced to the people through the world of Jinn, so it can draw them, or so it can draw them closer to the area of disbelief or the area of shirk. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed for you is much more pure, is much more protective for your faith and for your family and for your life and for your mental health as well. The other question, the other point that was important, I didn't get the chance to speak about it last week, was the issue in relation to the washing. We said how the washing is done, and we mentioned one of the hadith that speaks about it. But some people might say, how does it work? And I said last week is that there are so many things in life that people do not understand how they work, and I said that on purpose. Because the first element that you have in your heart is always for you to believe that if the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches you something, and this thing that the Rasul has taught has come to you through an authentic and accepted chain, in other words, you are certain that he said it, then these thoughts should not really go through your mind. Because if you trust him, then you should trust what he says. Exactly like you trust your doctor when he gives you a medication, exactly like you trust your surgeon when he says to you, I have to operate on you, your trust in the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be higher than this. And if this element of trust is not found between you and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you're in a grave danger. You're in a grave danger. But has the ulama spoken about how it works? Yes. How does the process work? Someone gets water, we get water in a container, and the person washes from it, correct? And we said what limbs he washes. Some of the ulama, they said that what happens here is that the water will collect traces from the person, from the envier, from the a'in. Because when he washes his face, when he actually rinses his mouth and washes his face and his hands and his feet and his knees, okay, and then he actually gets the water run through his internal organs, yani under his izar. All this, why are you collecting? They said the water, what will do, will actually collect traces of this particular person, like his DNA. And then when you take it and you wash the one that is envied with it, then it works like an antidote. Because the eye or the envy that has been caused to him has been caused by who? By that person. So you take traces from him and you use it to actually negate the evil or the envy that has been caused to that person. And as a result, what does it do? It breaks the impact of the eye. It breaks the impact of the eye. And this has been used before. Where? In the Sunnah. With who? Anyone has any idea? Come on. 1 minute, because I don't have a lot of time. Yes, Allah Yardalik. Has been used with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the companions used to actually fight for what? For his wudu. Because there's more into you as a human than what the eye meets. There's more into you as a human than the eye meets. You are mixed of a soul and a body. And the body of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was blessed. That's why some companions would love to make contact with him. And that's why some companions sometimes they will take some of the hair of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, put it in water, and then drink it and will cure them. Okay? Why? Because it will carry some of the traces, something that is similar to what we call today as DNA. When it's used to wash the envied person, it will cause him to be cured. These are the two, and that's what's the third point? Yes. The third point I wanted to mention, it's also an important point, is that today we have a problem that people might get offended if you come to them and say to me, Akhi, I think you hit me with your beautiful eye and I need you to wash for me. And then he will say to you, or the sister will say to you, how dare you accuse me of envying you? You think I am that bad? Is there a solution around this? First of all, the ulama said that it is compulsory for someone. And I mentioned that last week. It's compulsory for someone that has envied someone and can be verified that he did it. It's compulsory for him to wash for that particular person, it is a duty on him. But if it doesn't work, is there a way around it? Yes, there is a way around it. The way around it is for you to collect some of his traces without him knowing. How? For example, you get him a cup of coffee and a drink from it. Okay? And then what happens after they go, you take that cup, you pour the coffee out, and then you wash it with water, and you collect the water with which you washed it. Another thing that you can do, for example, you can get him, for example, a cup of drink and the drink from it. And then afterwards, what you do, you pour the drink out, and then you wash the cup and you collect that water. And when you wash it in the basin, pour a barrel under it, pour a container under it. And the water will fall into it, and then you can take it. And that will also work. And you can be innovative. You can use any mean that you want. Because now what you're doing here is what? Using a trick. So you can collect their traces. So you can give him a big cup, for example. A massive cup of water that they cannot drink. They'll drink from it, and then you take it. Oh, you can't finish it, I'll take it from you. Okay, or you make the coffee too sweet. They can't finish it. Oh, I'll change the cup for you, and you take it, and then you swap it. That's if you want to avoid it. And the practice has proven that when the people drinks from the, if the person that is injured drinks from the water as well, this will help in their cure. And it's not only that if you wash, even if you drink from this water. These are the 3 points that relate to the issue of hasad and ayn that I wanted to mention because they're important. We'll go back to the issue of possession. What is possession? Now, linguistically, possession in English, they say it is the state of being dominated by an evil spirit or by an evil soul. In Arabic, the word possession has many synonyms. One of them is the word sara'. And the word sara' is a word that can be used to refer to what is known as epileptic fit, or it can be used to refer to the fit that the person gets when he gets possessed. And linguistically, the word sara' relates to someone that is uncontrolled, he's not in control of his limbs. Because sometimes those who are possessed, what happens to them is that they end up in a state of an attack where they'll lose control over the limbs. Okay, they'll fall on the ground, something will happen to them. And the Arabs, sometimes they'll use the word junoon also to refer to someone that is possessed. But in reality, possession is not only based on this, and it's not limited to this particular type. And this fit that some people can go through is nothing but one of the types that can be caused by the jinn when they are to harm the particular person. And then the ulama differed in relation to it. When I speak about the ulama, I'm talking about the ulama of the lugha in general. They said sara' or possession can be defined into two. One of them is the one that is medical and everyone believes in it. And the other one is the one that is spiritual, which relates to the jinn. And that's the one where there's a khilaf in relation to it. Some philosophers, or many philosophers and atheists, denied it. And some people accepted it. And the khilaf in relation to this also falls within the Islamic arena as well. And you have some ulama who don't fully believe in it, and you have many ulama who do believe in it. What are the proofs that are used in relation to this? One of the main proofs that are used from the Qur'an is that the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ الرِّبَا لَا يَقُومُونَ إِلَّا كَمَا يَقُومُ الَّذِي يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ ذَلِكَ بَأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّ الْبَيْعَ مِثْلُ الرِّبَا وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. He goes, those who eat riba, they will not be resurrected on the day of judgment except like the one that actually is suffering from a fit because of the mess of the shaitan. That's because they said that the bay'ah is like the riba, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the bay'ah halal and He has prohibited riba. And riba, of course, here is usury. They differed in relation to the word mas. Most of the mufassirin of the Qur'an, they said that the takhabbut, the fit that is spoken about here, and the mess that is spoken about here is the mess that is caused by the jinn entering inside the body of the human. And that was the opinion of Imam Qurtubi, may Allah have mercy upon him, and also the opinion of Imam Ibn Kathir. He says, أي لا يقومون من قبورهم يوم القيامة إلا كما يقوم المصروع حال صرعه من الشيطان. He said, meaning that on the day of judgment, they will not go out from the graves except like the one who's actually been touched or been possessed by the shaitan. Meaning what? Meaning they will not go out peacefully. They'll go out in a very chaotic form. And a lot of ulama, a lot of mufassirin have supported this. One of them is Imam al-Qasimi, may Allah have mercy upon him. One of them, Imam al-Alusi. May Allah have mercy upon him. And there are other ulama who have supported them. I'm going to speak about some of them later on, inshallah. And of course, one of them is Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, Ibn al-Qayyim, and others. What are the proofs? And this is the main ayah that is used in relation to the issue of possession. The second proof that is used is the hadith narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, where he was speaking to who? He was speaking to Ata. And Ata was one of the students of Ibn Abbas. And he was speaking to him and he said to him, Alla uriyaka imra'atan min ahli al-jannah. He goes, should I not show you a woman that is from the people of Jannah? Ata said to him, Na'am, bala, show me. He said to him, Tilka al-mar'atu sawdat. He said, this black woman is from the women of Jannah, that will enter Jannah. And then Ata said to him, how? What is the cause? He said to him, that woman came to the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and complained to him about the fact that she suffers sara. She suffers from that fit. And then she asked the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to make dua for her to be cured. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave her one of two choices. He said to her, if you want, I will make dua for you and you'll be cured by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you want, tasbirina wa lakil jannah. If you want, you endure what you're going through and your reward will be you entering Jannah. The lady said to him, Ya Rasulullah, la tad'u li. Do not make dua for me to be cured. Do not make dua for me to be cured. ولكن ادعوا لي ألا أتكشف حين أسرع. But make dua for me that when I go into the feet, that none of my body organs can actually be shown, when I actually suffer that fit. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the dua for her. Now, the hadith is in Bukhari, and the hadith is sahih. The ulama here, or some ulama, they wanted to, because a lot of people don't like the idea of the jinn entering into the human body. So they said the word sarah can mean this and can mean that. So we take it on the meaning that relates to it being an epileptic fit. And will not take the second meaning which that she is possessed. However, other narrations which have come, they say, actually they add more insight into the ayah, into the hadith. And they say that the woman was possessed from a sara, from the jinn. Meaning the fit that she used to suffer was actually caused by jinn. And some of the companions used to say that whenever she would feel that the fit will happen to her, she used to run and hang to athwab al-Kaaba, to the garments or the qimash that is actually covering the actual Kaaba. And these different narrations are actually authentic. And they show, and they add more insight, that the sara that is spoken about here is not the sara of being epileptic. It is a sara that relates to what? That relates to her being possessed by jinn. The other hadith is the hadith of Uthman ibn Abi al-As, where he says that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam put me in charge of the affairs of the Ta'if. And you know the Ta'if area which is close to Mecca. But what used to happen to me is that I noticed that when I'm praying, I will feel whispers, and strong whispers to me in my salah. To the extent that I will lose focus and I will not remember what I prayed, and how many rakat I prayed, or what I read. And that happened with me frequently. So what I did, I went back to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he took himself on the Taif, he went to Medina, and he went to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam expected him, said to him, Ibn Abi al-As. Ibn Abi al-As said to him, yes, na'am ya Rasulullah. He said, ma ja'a bika? He goes, what brought you here? He said to him, ya Rasulullah, and he said to him the fact that when I pray, I feel that something always whispers to me to the fact that I lose focus in my salah. To the extent that I will not remember how much I prayed or what I read. He said to him, come close to me. He came next to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he sat on his knees. And then the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his honored hand, he actually tapped him on the chest. He tapped him on the chest and he actually spit in his mouth. He goes, open your mouth, he opened his mouth and he spit in it. And the Rasul said, ukhruj ya aduwallah. And he said that, some they say 3 times. He said, ukhruj ya aduwallah, ukhruj ya aduwallah, ukhruj ya aduwallah. And then the Rasul said to him, get up, go back to your work. And Ibn Abi al-As says, since then, nothing has happened to me. And he goes, since then, nothing has happened to me. That's not the hadith that is used. Another hadith that is used, and the hadith is found in Ibn Majah and Sahih. Another hadith that is used is the hadith of Safiya bint Huyay, where the Rasul ﷺ, his wife, where the Rasul ﷺ was actually returning her, taking her back home. She came to visit him and was escorting her back to her house. And then it was dark, and the two companions saw the Rasul ﷺ with a woman, but they couldn't tell who this woman was. So the Rasul ﷺ, he rushed to them and he said, "Ala rislikuma." He called them and goes, "Wait, I'm coming to you." And they came and he said to him, "This is Safiya, this is my wife." And the companions were very embarrassed. They said, "Ya Rasulullah, are we going to doubt the fact that and you're talking to a woman other than your wife?" And then the Rasul, and that's where the quotation is, the Rasul said, "Inna shaytana yajri min al-insani majra ad-dam." He goes, verily the shaitan flows in the human body like the blood flows in it. They said this hadith is also a support of the fact that the shaitan can run through the body. Of course, here the Rasul ﷺ was also talking about the fact that the whispers of the shaitan will rush to anyone and would actually speak about anyone. So the fact that he's the Rasul ﷺ will not stop the shaitan from not whispering to them something against him. And the hadith in the shaitan can flow inside the blood of the human. This hadith is also a hadith that is correct. Another hadith that is used is the hadith where the Rasul ﷺ makes a dua. He goes, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hadm wa a'udhu bika min al-taraddi." He goes, "Allah, I seek refuge in you from dying by something falling on me, and I seek refuge in you from al-taraddi, from me falling from a higher place. Wa a'udhu bika min al-gharaq, and for me to die drowning, wa min al-harq, and for me to die as I'm burning. Wa a'udhu bika an yatakhabbatani ash-shaytanu 'inda al-maut, and I seek refuge in you from the shaitan coming close to me and having a fit on me when I am dying." That's another thing that they use. Of course, these ahadith prove what? Prove that the shaitan and the harm that he can cause is actually further than just whispering. And the fact that he can enter into the human body. Based on the story of Ibn Abil As. There's also another hadith, but I didn't use it because the hadith its chain is weak. That's why we didn't use it. But the hadith quickly speaks about a woman that came to the Rasul ﷺ, that she had a child, and the Rasul hit the child on again the same thing, hit the child on his back this time. And he said, "Ukhruj ya adu Allah," and they said that a small black dog came out from the mouth of the young child. But the hadith is da'if, and that's why we don't use it. Alhamdulillah, there's hadith which are authentic that support it. And there are other hadith which are authentic, but for the sake of time we're not using them. I'll mention one of them quickly. The Rasul ﷺ was traveling, and then he went past a lady that had a son, and said to him, "Ya Rasulullah ﷺ, this son of mine, this is shaitan, that he takes over his body at the time of our ghada and at the time of our asha. Can you do something for him?" And the Rasul said to her, "Bring him." So what he did, he actually grabbed him and he put him in front of him. He took him like this and put him on his camel. And then the Rasul ﷺ also spit in his mouth, and he tapped him on his chest, and he said to him, "Ukhruj ya adu Allah, ana Rasulullah." He goes, go out, O enemy of Allah, for verily I am the Rasul of Allah subhanahu. And another narration says, "Ana Abdullah, I am the servant of Allah." And then he put him, he went, and he said to her, "When I return, let me know if something wrong with him." He went, the Rasul ﷺ, and he came back, and he said to her, "How's your son?" And he found her with 3 sheep. She had 3 sheep ready. He came past, he goes him, "He's perfect, he's like he used to be before. There's nothing wrong with him. And I made that for you as a present." She gave him 3 sheep as a present. So the Rasul ﷺ, he took one and he returned the 2 to her. And he accepted one of them and he returned the other 2. Another hadith is the hadith that relates, also found in Bukhari, where one of the companions, he went past a particular tribe and they refused to give him the food of the host. And they had a leader who was actually chained. And he said, "What's wrong with him?" I said to him, "There's a shaitan that comes to him." And then he said to him, "If I cure him for you by the will of Allah, would you give us our right as a daif? Because the host has a right." They said, "Yes." So he read on him the Fatiha. Some they say 3 times, some they say 7 times. And he also spit in his mouth before he did that. And the man got up, and there was nothing wrong with him. All these ahadith support that. A lot of ulama believed in possession, and they dealt with possession. One of them is Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, may Allah have mercy upon him. His son Abdullah, once he was speaking to him, he said to him, يا أبي إن أقواما يزعمون أن الجنية لا يدخل بدن الإنس. They said, Dad, father, there are some people from the Muslims who claim that the jinni cannot enter the body of the human. The response of Imam Ahmad was a bit harsh. He goes, يا بني يكذبون. يا بني يكذبون. He said, oh my son, they're not speaking the truth. They're lying. ها هو ذا ينطق على لسانه. He goes, he speaks on his tongue. What more proof do you want more than him speaking to you? And Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah also believe in that, and many other ulama, and I mentioned the name of Qurtubi, Al-Qasimi, Al-Alusi, Ibn Kathir, and others. And in fact, Amr ibn Ubaid, he made a statement where he said, من أنكر دخول الجن في البدن فهو دهري. Because whoever does not believe that the jinn can enter the human body, then he's a dahri. Dahri, those who didn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is a very harsh statement to be made, but he made it. Even Imam al-Buhuti, rahimahullah, from the Mashayikh of the Hanabila from Misr, they spoke, he said, and it's known that the jinn do have the power of penetrating the body of the human. And he said to him that Taqiyuddin, his teacher, used to actually read on them. So we're not talking about normal people that read, even Mashayikh from the big ulama of the Ummah, they used to read on people that are possessed, and they will converse with them, and they would actually speak back to them, and sometimes they will hit them, and then they will leave the body, or sometimes they will actually die. Some people say that the Ash'ari school does not believe in possession. In reality, there are quotes from Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari in Maqalat al-Islamiyyin, another book, where he says that he does believe in possession. And there are quotations from some of the Ash'ari scholars as well who say that they do believe in possession. One of them is Ibn Furak. He says, وَقَدْ بَيَّنَّا مَذْهَبَهُ أَنَّهُ كَانَ يُنكر قَوْلَ مَنْ يَزْعُمُ أَنَّ الْجِسْمَ يَفْعَلُ فِي غَيْرِهِ شَيْءٍ. يعني the Imam Abu Hassan Ash'ari used to believe that he can enter, but he cannot cause any impact on the human body, because if it does, then there's no point of him having a will. But there are others like Abu Amr al-Dani, may Allah have mercy upon him, who do believe that possession thing can take place. Of course, these points are important for me to make and to clarify. I don't want to bore you too much with them, and the khilaf is actually is big. But I wanted to mention that even those who don't believe in it completely, they believe in the power of the shaitan entering the actual body. That's why the Mu'tazila, those who did not believe in it, at a particular stage, they had no choice but to believe in it. One of them was Al-Qadi Abdul Jabbar. He said, if the jinn, it is in the nature for them to be latifa, very light bodies that can flow, then there's no problem in them entering the actual entering the body of the human. This quickly, and I know that you're a bit bored, the khilaf in relation between the ulama in relation to whether possession exists or doesn't exist. Of course, the amana of the ilm is for us to mention it. What is the problem in relation to that? Why do they have a problem with possession? I'll clarify. First, because the ulama, they want to understand it logically. And they want to find a logical explanation for it. And this is something that is difficult for you to learn, because these are, as I said before, creatures that you cannot touch, you cannot test, you cannot cut, you cannot observe. So for you to be able for you to have a full logical understanding of it, then that's something that is completely impossible. With experience, you can learn a lot and you can gain a lot, but that can only come from experience of contacting and reading of those who are possessed. That's one. Second, many of those ulama, they became very concerned with philosophy, and they wanted to rebut what philosophers will say in relation to it. And therefore they got stuck into that situation. How does a body enter another body? Would that stop that person from doing what he can do as a human? Does that mean that this person is not responsible for his actions in front of Allah? And so on and so forth. Third point is that a lot of ulama did not have any contact with those who are possessed. Do not know much about them, what happens with them. Do not know much about the world of the jinn in the first place. And until today, a lot of mashayikh are not interested in the topic. Because the topic is a bit scary. And not everyone is interested actually in studying it. And this is something that you need to learn through you observing and through you learning from someone that had experience in the particular area. But the reality of things is that possession does exist. And we cannot deny it. That's why the Mu'tazila at the end, they had to accept it. And one of them was Al-Qadi Abdul Jabbar. He had to accept it. He said, because it's there. It's seen. And if you don't want to believe in it, check those who actually suffer from it. And see what they say. Most of the people that me and a lot of people, and including myself, that we have treated are skeptical about it. No one comes to us for the treatment, a small percentage, except that they are skeptical about the fact that there can be something wrong with them. But they come just because of the fact that this is an option that they have not explored and nothing else has worked for them. And they are desperate. So I say, you know what, I'll try it. And that's why some of them after first or second session, you say, you know, I don't mean to offend you, but I didn't believe in it really. He goes, but now I do. Why? Because when they see the movement, when they see how they change, when they see that they lose control of the body and something else completely independent from them speaks on the tongue and starts dealing with the person, they have no choice but to what? Because it's in him. And that's why they believe in it. Many of them, I can say 80% of the cases that people come to us with possession cases, they don't really, deep inside the heart, they don't believe. And a lot of Muslims believe in jinn just because Islam says so. But deep inside the heart, they don't believe in it. Why? Because they find it too hard, because we became too materialistic in our judgment on things. And we think that the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be explained at any point of time, at any place, based on our knowledge. And we forget that Allah says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. And we forget the fact that Allah said, and you have not been given from the knowledge of the universe, except what? قَلِيلًا. Except a small amount, except little amount. So when you face it, you get a shock as a human, because you are facing something that you cannot understand. The other thing is, no one can provide a proof that is not possible. All those who do not possession cannot say that it's not possible. Can you give me a proof why it's not possible? They can't. Can you give me a proof from the Qur'an or the Sunnah that says that's not possible? They can't. Even logically, they can't. Wallah, I had cases that came to me. Not only to me, to a lot of reciters, but every person speaks about his own experience. Where psychologists themselves, non-Muslim psychologists, they will say to the patient, "You're Muslim?" They say, "Yeah." He goes, "Go see some of your clerics, they can help you with what you have." And we say to anyone, go through everyone and finish off with everyone, then come to us. And wallah, I say with full confidence, go through psychiatrists, go through psychologists, go through brain surgeons, go through doctors, go through socialists, go through those who do, what's it called, hypnosis, go through all of them, and then come back. Imam al-Sha'rawi has a very interesting point. He says, and I don't believe why people have a problem in believing in it. Because don't you believe that bacteria and bugs can penetrate through your skin? And since this is something that you cannot see and you cannot control, and it happens every day, how could you deny that something like this can happen? And why is it hard scientifically for it to happen? And this is something that Allah cannot do? Of course. Something that can be done, and it does take place. And these are beautiful words of Him. And people forget the fact that the shaitan can expand and can become so small, that small. They have these powers. They have these powers. Another point, and that is to put the issue at complete rest, is that people forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everything on the face of the earth with the power to perform the task that it is made for. So me as a human, I have tasks that I can do, that even though I am the main creature, the bee can do things that I cannot do. True or not? The snake can do tasks that I cannot do. Every single creature that is out there, Allah has enabled it with the abilities, with the techniques that it needs so it can carry on its tasks. And therefore, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give him the access, then He will give him the technique and the power to do so. And why are you so surprised? And you see the presence of life within life every day in your life. Look at any pregnant lady. What do you see? You see a living being inside another living being. How does it live? How does it behave? How does it affect the mother? Today science speaks about that. And this is a tangible, hard flesh body that lives within a tangible, hard flesh body. How about a body that has been created from something that is mixed of smoke and fire? And therefore, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give something, a creature, the task, a particular task to do, He will give him the ability to do so. وَأَعْلَمُ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. I know that Allah is capable of everything. And what is upsetting, and that's the story I'm going to share with you. And then we'll get into the causes of possession. A sister came to me. She's from a Moroccan background. And if she sees that, listen, I want her to come back again, inshallah, because I couldn't see her. I spoke to her on the phone for 1 hour. She had a son, and she has been told by some Muslim mashayikh that, and of course, we love him and we respect him, and we respect the opinion, but I don't believe that it's correct, personally. And I'll go with the opinion. It's not my opinion, it's the opinion. I support the opinion of the other ulama who say that does take place. She came to me and she says to me, I have a son, and he's the only son that I have. And she doesn't live around Lakimba. And they were not very practicing, but now they are. She said, I have not left, and they're rich. She goes, I have not left a doctor that I have not taken my son to. She said, I've taken him to the best psychiatrist and the best psychologist. And I've taken him to the best brain surgeon. And one of the psychologists said to me, your son, and because at the beginning they said, of course, GPs, with all respect, they said, schizophrenic. They classified him as schizophrenic. That specialist, she said to me, he's the best in Australia. I can't remember if she said he's the best in the world. He goes to the US. He said to her, after sitting with 1 hour with her son, he said to her, take your son from here. Your son is not schizophrenic. Your son is completely sane. There's nothing wrong with his brain. So she took him to a hypnosist. And they checked on him and they said to her, he has a lot of negative energy around him and we cannot help him. You're going to have to see someone that is higher. And one of the sisters gave her my number and she called me up. And she said, what do I do? She said, that's the only son I have. We have all the money that anyone wants. And I've tried everything for him. And nothing has worked. And she said, the only thing that holds me back from taking him to a sheikh is the fact that I'm a sheikh that say that position does not exist. She said to me, I'm confused. What am I to do with my son? Because medicine cannot help him. Psychology cannot help him. Surgeries cannot help him. Hypnosis cannot help him. What do I do with him? Does it exist? And she goes, does it exist? Tell me, does it exist? Why do they deny it? And I'll say to them, think about the people that suffer because of an opinion that you propagate outside, just because of the fact that you want to satisfy some of the philosophers or some of the logical, rational people that deny the presence of position. Because the fatwa that someone gives can cause a lot of suffering for a lot of people. And her son is possessed. And through speaking to her, we, alhamdulillah, were able to determine what kind of position he has. And she came, but subhanAllah, I was too busy and I couldn't see her. And if you get the chance, sister, and if you hear me again, please come back. So it does happen. What are the causes of possession? And that's the main thing I want to speak to you about so you can protect yourself. There are many causes, and we can summarize them in the following. First, retaliation. You do something to them, they'll attack you back. Second, aggression. They will harm you for the sake of harming you. Heck. Third, reading the books of magic. Reading the books of magic and the books of spells. Fourth, summoning them, and you calling for them. And this can be done intentionally and can be done unintentionally. Fourth, music. Yes, and I'm going to speak about it soon. Fifth, mocking them, making fun of them. Another cause, it can be you visiting magicians and sorcerers. It's something that can cause it. Visiting haunted houses, something that can cause it. Spending a lot of time in filthy places, spending a lot of time in toilets, something that can cause it. Another cause that can bring him to you is also love. where they actually fall in love. And this doesn't only happen to sisters, that happens to brothers and to sisters. Another thing that can cause it is magic. Another thing that can cause it is evil eye and envy. Someone might say, how do they retaliate? How do they retaliate? If you look at how humans deal with the humans, you'll be able to understand how jinn deal with the humans. Meaning, amongst humans there are those who are good and those who are bad. And amongst those who are bad, there are those who are troublemakers and those who are bad for themselves. And amongst those who are bad and they like to harm people, they don't always harm people. There's always what? A reason for it. Yani if there is someone that is part of a gang member, and we all live amongst the gang members, and there's different names of them, we don't want to mention the names. Does it happen that every time a gang member goes past a particular person, he bashes him? I ask you. Does it happen? No. How can it happen? When there is something that triggers it. A cause. You pull next to him in the car, you eye him out, he looks at you, he goes down, he bashes you. You fill up petrol, you're asking for the payment, he does that. Someone hires him, he comes next to you. There's always have to be something that triggers a fight. A fight does not happen like that. Even amongst those who like to cause problems, a fight does not just happen by itself. There's always a trigger. The same thing with the position of retaliation, where a jinn would like to harm you back, there will be a reason for it. What can be the reason? One of the common reasons that happen a lot, especially with jinn that live amongst humans, and something that you hear frequently, especially amongst elders from overseas and here, is that pouring hot water in toilets without saying Bismillah. Okay. Pouring hot water in the toilet without saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is something that can cause them to possess someone or attack someone. Of course, when we say that they want to possess someone, this doesn't happen instantly. And they can possess someone who will they can have access to that person. But if they can't, then they will try, but they will not succeed. Why? Because the jinn get harmed by things. Jinn eat from what you eat, and drink, and marry, and die. And die. So therefore, they do get affected by things. One of the things that burn him is hot water. Now someone can come to me and he's very smart. And I like the smart ones. And he says, he's made of fire. How can he get burnt? And I say, very simple. His essence from his fire, but his body now is not made of fire. He might have elements of it, but no, he's not made of it. Exactly like you're made of mud, but if I get a good handful of mud and I hit you with it, you'll be in pain. What happens to you happens to them. And therefore, they can be actually harmed by this. And that's why it is always advised for you to say Bismillah or Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Just Bismillah before you pour something hot in the actual toilet. But if it is something that is limited to the toilet, you'll find that the mothers will say so. But in fact, it is not. Because jinn do not only live in toilets. Only a particular type of jinn, which are usually devils or filthy ones, are the ones that live in toilets. And they're not always there. But when you put that rule, you protect yourself. And sometimes you can pour hot water and there will not be anyone there, so no one will get harmed. And sometimes you may do it and they will get harmed. But this can happen everywhere. It can apply in a hole, can apply in the kitchen, can apply anywhere you are in the house or anywhere you are outside. Before you pour something that is hot and boiling, you should mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if it happens that it falls on one of them, then they will actually try to attack you back and they'll try to harm you. Would that cause the death? No. That will just cause them to get hurt. And as a result, there will be what? There will be a trigger. And the trigger will cause them to try to possess you. One of the stories is Sheikh Muhammad Saim, may Allah have mercy, may Allah preserve him. He speaks about a case that he treated was a Kuwaiti girl. He said a Kuwaiti girl and their family were not practicing. One day the girl goes in the bathroom and what she does, she actually gets hot water and she pours it on the floor. Soon after that, the girl gets into feet, she falls on the ground. They cannot know what is wrong with her. They bring her to the Sheikh, he starts treating her. He speaks to the jinn that is inside her and he tells him the fact that what caused him to enter inside her body is the fact that she poured hot water on him and should not say Bismillah. And they know. He said, should not say Bismillah. He goes, she's supposed to say Bismillah. Because she's supposed to warn me. And that's why some mashayikh say, some jinn, what they do, even if they don't get hurt, they'll try to possess the person. Because they will give him an excuse. So when you read on them and they speak back to you, he will say to you, he's meant to say Bismillah. Why didn't he say Bismillah? Bismillah is the word that he's meant to say. And the Shaykh said, even though you're a shaitan, in this point you are correct. And they said, she's not a good girl, she doesn't pray. And he said to him, don't worry about her. There's something that we'll deal with her separately. You are, and he starts speaking to him. He start giving him dawah and so forth. And of course, the jinn will try to use any excuse for them to stay inside the body. And then, alhamdulillah, he left. Another thing that people often do is urinating in cracks or in holes. And that's something that should not be done, because this is something that can cause possession as well. And there's a hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Sarjas. He says that the Rasul sallallahu naha nabiyyu an yubala fil juhr. Because the Rasul prohibited from urinating in the actual cracks and holes. Qatada, the one who narrates the hadith, he was asked by one of the other narrators. He said, why is that? He said to him, يُقَالُ إِنَّهَا مَسَاكِنُ الْجِنِّ, because it is said that that's actually places where the jinn live. The hadith is found in Abu Dawood and also found in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy upon him. But the ulama have differed in relation to its authenticity. Albani classified it as weak, and then later on Sahih Targhib wa Tarhib classified it as Sahih, and then he went back on that. However, the ulama say that this is a hadith that even though its chain of narration is weak, but its meaning is correct, because usually cracks and holes are places where other creatures live, like snakes and so forth, and urinating there can cause them to be harmed, and this is something that is haram in general. The other thing that adds to this is the fact that one of the companions of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sa'd ibn Ubadah, was killed in a similar incident. And the story of the death of Sa'd ibn Ubadah is very, very famous amongst the books of Seerah. And the chain of it is Hasan. Imam Albani classified it as da'if, but Sheikh Salih al-Sheikh, he went back on it and he said that actually it is classified as Hasan if you look at the other narrators. And how does the story go? Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he went and he urinated in a particular crack. Because after that, he soon felt pain in his back, and then he fell on the ground and he died. And they saw that his body turned green. His body turned green. And then the people in Medina, they heard a hatif. A hatif is a word that is used to refer to a jinn that speaks openly. Where he said, نحن قتلنا سيد الخزرج سعد بن عبادة أصبناه رميناه بسهمين فلم نخطئ فؤاده. We are the ones who killed the leader of the Khazraj, Sa'd ibn Ubadah. We hit him with 2 arrows and we did not miss. And this story is found in Sirah Alam al-Nubala and other books of Sirah, and there is no, and as I said, the isnad of it is Hasan. So people should avoid these places. Another thing is harming animals for no reason. Harming cats, dogs, or animals in general. Because if you remember from the first week, I said that in one of the conversations that I had with one of the jinn, he said we can possess anything that we want. And people out there, unfortunately, they have some brothers have a passion for harming living creatures for no reason. Okay, they would like to torture a cat, they would like to hit a dog, and that's something that is haram in Sharia in the first place, and whether it relates to possession or not. And for the sake of time, I'll just mention 2 quick stories in relation to this. Once, a group of brothers, and that happened in Lebanon, they went out camping. And camping, like they went shooting as well. One of them, he saw a black cat. They camped in the campsite next to a river. And one of them saw a black cat. So he pulled out the gun, and for no reason, he started shooting at it. He was aiming at it and shooting, aiming at it and shooting, and he kept on missing. Later on, and subhanAllah, after that happened, this shabab became more religious. All what they can hear at night is the screams of that man. Because they slept in separate tents. And he was sleeping in the tent, and the one who's meant to be with him in the tent was with his friends. And all they can hear him saying is screaming and shouting and swearing at them, because what was happening is that someone was taking his tent and whirling it. And he was freaking out. He goes, stop doing this. And start swearing. He goes, and we are looking at him, and we're all standing next to each other, and we are watching it. And we freaked out. After that, they took him to the Sheikh, and he read on him. He said, and since that, he goes, and straight away, we packed and we left. Straight away. Because we packed and we left. Another sad story, and that's a story that happened in Saudi, is a sister used to have a cat come to her house, And she used to always come in and she used to eat from the food. So one day she became angry and she made special food for her. She put it outside and she poisoned it. She poisoned the food. The cat came and ate from it, and what happened to it? It died. After that, I think the right hand or the left hand, one of her hands became swollen for no reason, and got very bad. It became very, very swollen. They checked it medically. They checked it. They couldn't find any cure for it. And one of the mashayikh says she came to me, and her hand was as big as her leg came, that big. And he goes, I began to read on her, and as I started reading, some white fluid began to flow out of her hand. And I was looking at her and I say, what have you done? Like, this is something that is awful. And then as I'm checking, he goes, I came across that story. And what happened, she was beyond help, and she died after that. And people do not know that jinn, what they do, a type of magic is a magic of sickness. And a magic of death, where actually they can make particular type of sicknesses inside the body. And they'll feed it to the person within his body, and then he will die. And that's something that they can do. Another thing that can cause possession is killing snakes if they are found in houses. Of course, that's not very relevant to us here in Australia, but we mention it in general without prior warning, and we spoke about that before. And from the Sunnah of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's for you to warn them, because some of them are normal snakes and some of them are snakes of jinn snakes. Another one is jumping off high places, or jumping off cliffs, falling into water without mentioning the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without saying Bismillah. Because what can happen, there's different types of jinn. There's jinn that live on water. Some of them they dive, and some of them they float on the surface. And they sleep and they eat and they drink, but you just can't see them, but they can see you. And because of the fact that they can see you, they can hang around you, and they have no problems with that, because they can see you. But the problem is the fact that you can't see. So if you do so, and one of them is sleeping, or is not noticing to you, and you fall on the person, on that particular jinn, that can be a cause for him to possess you. And that's very often. That happens very often. And a lot of stories in relation to that, especially with kids. That's why we say with kids at the time of Maghrib, they should be restrained. You should not let them play at the time of Maghrib, especially because there's a particular type of jinn that comes out, they're allowed to storm out at this particular time, and therefore they go out in big numbers. And therefore sometimes if the kids are playing, they fall into a bush. If they hit something from them, or they hit them, or they touch them, it's like you pushing someone, or you nodding someone. That's exactly the same. That will cause them to retaliate. And some people can die as a result of that. Sheikh Abu Bakr al-Jazairi, he speaks about his own sister that died because of that. They were playing on the palm trees, and then they were on the rope, and then she fell on something, and she got up, and then she walked, and she was all right. And after that, she started falling, and she got possessed, and she died after that. He goes, she'll be okay, and then she'll go to sleep, and then during her sleep, she'll feel like something is strangling her. Happening every week, 2 days will go past, or 3 days, and then that will happen to her. He goes, at the end, one of the time he was strangling her, and she died. That can happen. And Shaykh Munir Arab, he mentions the story of a lady, she was 40 years old, where she was possessed. He read on her, and he noticed that she was possessed. Her husband brought her to him. And then what happened is that there was a water tank. I'm cutting the story short. And she fell in the water tank. And he was there. So he possessed her. He said, I possessed her because of this, but after that, I liked being with her. Because, so I stayed. And he started, and he read on them, and then he tried to make da'wah for him, and then he became Muslim. Or supposedly he said he became Muslim, and after that he left. Another thing that can cause it, singing, screaming in the toilets or during shower, is something that also can cause possession. Because they like singing, they don't like screaming. If you annoy them, that might cause them to try to harm you. That only can happen if you are not doing what? If you're not saying Bismillah. And you're not maintaining your adhkar. Nothing that can cause it, throwing stones. You know, someone grabbed thrown and they throw stones on the bush, on the sea, on the lakes. It's something that can cause it. If there is something there and you don't mention the name of Allah and you hit it, then that can happen to you. And you know Brother Yusuf? Yusuf. Yeah? The brothers from here may know him. He's one of the members. Ask him about the drunk man that he saw that threw a beer bottle, and then after that, they saw him being pushed from one side to another. He speaks about a story, it happened in Lakimba actually. He sat and he threw the beer bottle, and he was sitting, and then out of nowhere you can see that someone was punching him from right, left, and that can happen because what would have happened is that he happened to hit something, and they attacked back. All these can happen as a retaliation if you do not mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when you mention the name of Allah, if there is something there, they will move. They will get a warning. And they will move. And they will have to move. Because that's something that is forced on them. Because then you can say that's an agreement or solemn agreement that is placed on them. The same thing with your adhkar. When you read your adhkar before entering into the bathroom, what happens is that you become in a state of protection. They'll leave your room. And I know that sounds crazy because you have not mixed with Allah. But to me it sounds normal. Because if they're floating around when you say the adhkar, they'll move to a particular corner and they'll not move until you finish. You wash, you do your adhkar, you go out. Then if they have some business to do, floating around or doing anything, they'll go back to it. And that's why the adhkar are set in the first place. That's why saying Bismillah before everything that you do is an excellent action that you can do. That's why some of the followers of Sheikh Ahmad al-Rifai, they say he used to frequently say Bismillah. Before doing anything, he'll say Bismillah. And also some of the students of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, may Allah have mercy upon him, they also say that before he eats, and he gets a morsel, he eats it, he'll say Bismillah. He'll swallow, he'll say Alhamdulillah, then he'll say Bismillah for every morsel. And that's an action that people should have. Another thing that can be caused is aggression, where they'll actually try to harm you for the sake of harming you. Another thing that can cause it is mocking them and swearing at them. And that's something happened with between a Muslim jinn and a Muslim human. Sheikh Munir Arab speaks about a story where it happened that he read on a young man, and he was possessed with a jinniya. She's a female jinn, he's Muslim, her name was Fatima. He said to her, why do you possess him? She goes, I possess him for 2 reasons. I went in him for 2 reasons. He goes, first, he always makes fun of us. He goes, second, he doesn't pray. See the importance of salah. See the importance of salah. He goes, second, he doesn't pray. Because he mocks them all the time, they have feelings. And then they attack, and she possessed him, and she left of him, alhamdulillah. Another thing is when you challenge them, and that's something that a lot of brothers do. My iman is strong, no jinn can go into me, okay? I can crash any jinni that is out there, I can step on the devil, or some story that I heard from a brother said to me about a religious guy. He said, a guy who belongs to a particular group, he goes, when the jinn see us, they run away from us. He goes, people are scared of us. The jinn are scared of us. All these comments, first of all, they're not from the sunnah. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah says, وَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ مَنِ اتَّقَى. Do not praise yourself. Allah knows who spies and who is not. Work on your iman, work on your salah, work on your prayer, work on your supplication, and whether Allah accepts from you or not, that's something that is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't go around doing so, because that's not something from the ethics of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's not something that is accepted in the actual Sharia. The other thing is that jinn do not care what is your madhab, what is your tariqah, what group you follow, what is the fikr that you follow, what is the manhaj that you are upon. If they have a reason for them to do a job on you, they will come and do the job on you. Whoever you are. And I have treated people from across all groups, from the Sunnis. All groups, no exception. And from the group that this brother is from. What makes a difference in reality is you maintaining your salah, but more importantly, besides salah is the default thing, is you maintaining your supplications and your adhkar. Because that will block them from them being able to enter inside your body. So do not make statements like this. And I had a brother, he came to me, and some of the brothers, Ali, where's Ali? Ali and Ahmed and some of the brothers were around when I read on him. And the shaitan, he had the devil in him and he spoke. And I said to him, why are you in him? He said to me, because he challenged us. You remember Ayman? Yes. He said he challenged us. He goes, he said that we cannot enter his body. He goes, and we did. And we did. And they did, subhanAllah. So this is something that can cause them to enter. And who's better than the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who's better than the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When he's making in his dua, وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ أَن يَتَخَبَّطَنِي الشَّيْطَانُ عِنْدَ الْمَوْتِ, I seek refuge in you from me dying of something falling on me, or me falling off something, or burnt, or drowning, or a shaitan coming and harming me at the moment of death. Who's better? These people forget that possession and magic is nothing but an ibtila from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a type of test and trial from Allah. That's what that lady, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said to her, your reward is what? Your reward is Jannah. For her enduring the pain that she goes through, because that's the test that she accepted on her to have. Now, of course, some people might say to me, and sometimes the jinn will do that, don't get treated, stay as you are, you'll go Jannah. I say no. Because the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not give you a guarantee. He gave her a guarantee. Okay? He gave her a guarantee, but you nothing. And other people that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated, when they came to him, like Ibn Abi al-As and others, he treated them. True or not? So that is something that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his knowledge has known that Allah wants for that lady. And then he gave her the choice and she accepted. So don't give yourself that guarantee as some people do. So that's something that is also important. Another thing that people do is playing with magic books. And the internet is dangerous. Because today on the internet you can read any material. When you read magic books, what you are doing is that you are saying to them, come to me. Because the jinn get triggered by what you read. The magic spells are nothing except names of praise and worship that you repeat, that will cause that particular person that you're calling to focus on you and then to send someone to come to you. And people can get possessed as a result of that. And one of the mashayikh, Sheikh Al-Bara and others, and I know a personal story, but I'll mention it later. He speaks about the fact that a young man was playing with a magic book. He bought, and I'm not going to mention the name because they are available here. He just took it and he began reading, like he thinks he's reading a novel or something. Okay. After that, he got possessed. He started having problems. His mother brought him. He was in his 20s, was at university. She brought him to the sheikh. He read on him, and the fact he goes, I possessed him because he called on me. He has no right to read this. When he read it, he got possessed. Even magicians who deal with jinn, who work with jinn, they get harmed by jinn themselves. And they go through connections where they actually, there's someone that introduced them, they go through a particular stage of trial, and then after that, a contract gets signed. Sometimes a full contract doesn't have to be signed, it depends on what level he wants. And then the dealing will start to take place, and even them that are not safe from the harm of the jinn on them. And many of them get harmed by the jinn that they work for sometimes. How about you just grabbing a book and reading it randomly? You have no idea what you're playing with. And that can cause you to be possessed. And that happened to someone, another story that I know is someone that used to be a panel beater next to the sheikh that I used to study with, Sheikh Omar, Allah yahfadhu. And I used to remember that he had his face was torn from here. And I sit there, memorize, and I was always like, from a young age, I was interested in jinn and magic. and we're sitting down talking, and he spoke. I said to him, what's the cause of that mark? And he smiled. And he said to me, that's because of the fact that I was reading some books of jinn. He goes, and once I read a book that I should not be reading, he goes, and I got bashed. He goes, since then, I got rid of him, and he grew a beard, and he began to pray. That caused him harm. He got hit. Some people don't just get hit, some people get possessed. And what is worse than that is that they can actually possess the whole family that they are living with. So they can possess the husband, the wife, and the kids, and they can run amok in the house. And that has happened to people. Another thing is playing Sayong and Ouija board. I'm not sure what you call it. Ouija board, whatever it is. This is you summoning them. But that's not like a spell, that's different. Because what you're doing is that you're calling upon any jinn that is around to come to you. and to respond to you. And you have no idea what can be around. You have no idea what can be around. And you making that contact is a solemn approval of you, of them speaking to you. And I know a sister, she's possessed until now, and she refuses treatment. She doesn't want to get treated. That's why I said to you, possessed people, they're not psychiatric people. Some of them are too scared to face the fact that there's something with them. They know it deep inside, but they're too scared to face it. Where she used to play regularly, and then after a while, he liked her, they developed a relationship, and he began to speak to her without the need of the say-on. He told her his name, where he comes from, and the relationship developed into something that is bad. And these games that our youth play with are serious games. Some people might say to me, I played and nothing happened to me. Now the first thing I will say is that how do you know that nothing happened to you? That's one. Put that aside. I'm not going to get into that. The second thing is, statistics and studies out there speak about the fact that smoking kills. But a lot of people smoke and have not. But this does not negate the fact that smoking what? Smoking kills. It's just that from the mercy of Allah has happened to you. Hasn't happened to you yet. But it can happen to you. And people have died from it. And people have been through it. So if you are someone that wants to mess up his life, then do so. Wallah, people who are possessed, sometimes they are willing to pay you everything they have for the sake of them becoming better. Especially when the possession cases are very serious cases and there's no one that can help, because these people, they feel pain and they see things that will cause their whole life to be terrible. So playing Sayon, Ouija board, whatever you call it, all these games, any type of game where you are calling on them is something that is very dangerous as well. Why? Because there can be a devil around. And I said to you, the jinn are different types. And you sitting there and you make that call and he comes. And he'll start to play with you. And usually magicians, what they do, not all magicians deal with devils. They don't all deal with devils. Dealing with devils is something that takes, and I'm not praising them, takes a lot of heart. Takes a lot of heart. And takes someone that his heart, there's no iman in it whatsoever, because they will ask him to do things that a regular human will not be able to do. Not only prostrating, doing things which are horrible. One of them is incest sometimes. Eating dead corpses, a lot of things. So not all magicians are willing to make or to go that far. But when they make contact, they'll, for example, King Fulan, I have to do this for a number of days. I have to light up 1, 2, 3, call these particular words in this particular order. And I'm not getting any further details. You do it, you complete it. A person of contact gets sent to you, you see it, and you see it live. And then from there, it gets prepared. If you get accepted, they'll start dealing with that particular person that they deal with. That's how it works. But when you are sitting out there calling for anything to come to you, if there's something very bad hanging around and he comes to you, then he actually can harm you because you asked for him to come to you. Exactly like a girl that was walking around and she sees a very fit, good-looking guy, but he's a bikie, for example, or he's a gang member. And she shows interest. She smiles at him. Once he comes, who's in control of the relationship? He is. That's how it works with them as well. Another thing, and people don't accept that, is music. All types of music. There's some mothers that say, if you listen to Arabic music, it's better. Okay. Or Indian music, it's not as bad. English is bad. Alhamdulillah, today, because of globalization, all music is the same. So you have rappers in Arabic, Turkish, Indian, in all languages. You have R&B in all languages. You have everything in all languages now. And they all get dressed the same, and they all have the video clips, unfortunately, the same. And all the Muslim youth are in love with them. This is something that will cause jinn to be around you. Not only around you, they can touch you. And wallah, they can jump on you. Some of them you'll be jumping and they're jumping on you. But you just can't see. And this is a ni'mah that people can't see. This is a ni'mah that people can't see. Because the problem with possessed people sometimes is they see too much. And because they see too much, they cannot handle looking around people. So they'd rather close their eyes and not mix because they see too much and they get scared. And that's why there's a sister once that she said, I can see him sitting on your lap. She was talking to someone else. She goes, I can see him sitting on your lap. Music, nightclubs, any type of music. Arabic is not exempted. Okay? Will cause them to hang around you, to touch you, to come in contact with you. And when you are in that moment of joy, when you are jumping up and down and you're losing control of yourself, this is a moment where actually you can also get possessed. Because a lot of things are needed for you to be possessed. One of them is that your mind is not in complete control and that your blood vessels are actually at a particular width, that if anything wants to throw itself in you, and that's why what he said, what Al-Qadi Al-Jabbar mentioned, that they are like wind is correct. Some people who get possessed, they will feel that. So I feel like wind on my hand. That's them preparing themselves to enter inside the body. Any state where your blood vessels are actually large enough, they will try to penetrate, and they will penetrate if you are someone that has not maintained your adhkar. And if you do actions like this, then this will cause you to be possessed. Visiting haunted places, haunted houses, is also something that can cause you to be possessed. Now let me clarify something. People think that haunted houses are houses where jinn live. Jinn and devil live. That's wrong. Haunted houses or haunted places are places where the jinn would not like to share the place with you. Okay? So you're not welcome. And I said before, jinn can live in other places and you will not feel their presence. And sometimes they can be in the toilets of houses. And sometimes they can be in the house in general. So haunted places are places where the jinn are not willing to share that place with anyone else. So when you walk in there, what are you doing? You are trespassing. You are trespassing. And not even Mashaykh will do that, brothers. I will not do that. I'm not interested. Even if I recite. Why would I go to a haunted place? Why would I want to have contact with them? We read on people so we can get them out. We read on people who have spells so we can get rid of them. Why are you going to them? What are you trying to prove? That you're strong? The only test that you're doing here, some brothers say, I'm going to test my iman. So I'm going to sit in an abandoned place by myself in the middle of the night in the parks. And that can be a cause for you being possessed. And you're not testing your iman. The only thing you're testing here is your sanity. Whether you have enough brain for you to know that I should not be doing this because this can harm me. Why would you put yourself in the way of harm? This is something that is haram and something that the Sharia does not accept. Visiting magicians and soothsayers and sorcerers and soothsayers, this can also be a cause of possession. Not all the time, it can. And I'm going to mention 3 times. One, some of them what they do is that they always spray the house, the entrances with magic water. So when you enter, a spell gets put on you automatically. And therefore they can get a jinn to possess you right there and then. Second thing, they can give you things to drink or to eat or to burn. And when you burn them, you call the jinn inside the house and you allow them in, the jinn of that particular person, of that particular magician. And that can cause you to be possessed. Third, when you ask them to put a spell on someone. And I say it to every person that has tried to put a spell on someone, I have some good news for you. You're yourself possessed. But you don't know. And if you ask yourself and you think, why am I so sick? Why do I go through so many troubles in my life? Why do I have different pains and ailments? I say that's because you put a spell on someone. Whoever enters into that door, Allah will make him taste what He makes others taste. Nothing that can cause possession. And I'm going to take my time, Ibrahim, because that's important. Spending time in the toilet. Some brothers, they want to read magazines, newspapers, novels, tales, phone conversations, homework. My question is why? What is so special there? What is so special there? Yani, I don't know, I respect the lesson, but like the smell, what is it? What is so interesting in that place? If you like porcelain, tile a wall in your bedroom or in your, office, and look at it. Use the same tiles that you have in your bathroom and put it there. Why? This is something that can cause someone to get possessed. Why? If I'm someone that goes to the pub and sit there, day after day, day after day, day after day, why am I telling to the people who are around? Why am I telling them? I'm telling them that I am like them. And I have some interest. And then this will cause them to come next to me. Because if I go every day to a soccer game, forget about the pub. If I go to a soccer game every single day and I sit down and I watch people, people will get acquainted with me. They'll look at me, they'll watch me. It looks like he's interested. Would you like to play with us? There's nothing that can be called. And that's what can happen sometimes. And people who are possessed, one of the signs that happen to those who have devils with them is that they would love to be in the bathroom for hours. And that can be a sign of possession for no reason. Not because he's got diarrhea and he's in pain. Not because, he's got some sicknesses. No, it's because of the fact that he doesn't know why he wants to sit, but he wants to sit there. So you want to read? Go out to the park, akhi. You want to speak on the phone? Go to the park. There's a lot of quiet places that you can go to. The bathroom is not the only quiet place on the face of the earth you can go to. Go to Bankstown Library, go to the libraries. No one goes to the libraries. Sit down there and read as much as you want. Do not sit in places where they actually hang around, because that can cause possession. And that's another important point to make here as well in relation to parents. There's parents who hit the children in the toilets. That is abhorrent. That is abhorrent. Locking up children as a punishment in abandoned places is something that is abhorrent and can cause the children to be possessed. First, that kid is crying. Second, that kid is getting bashed. Third, he's terrified. Third, you are angry and you are swearing. And your state and his state makes you completely open for you being possessed. You and the kid. Not to mention that's completely haram. No matter what the kid has done, things can be discussed. Even if you want to punish him or punish her, the Islam teaches you how to punish and when and to what extent and so forth. But people today have no limits. They just do whatever they want to do in the bathroom. That's haram. Also, threatening kids with monsters is something that can not develop possession, but they can develop phobia. And that phobia can make some jinn be interested in marking around with them. Because sometimes crazy people, they're not possessed. And there are mental illnesses that people can have. But what will happen is that jinn will like to play with them, to harm them. So you're developing phobia within the child. It causes him psychological problems by itself. And it can also be a door for some jinn to be interested in also marking up their lives. And I don't think any parent would like to do that to the children. Locking up children in dark places, or, rat's room, they used to call it, back when I was young. Okay? And in toilets, all this is completely haram and can cause possession. Another thing is love. I want to talk about this. Children, jinn can love humans. You don't have to be beautiful. They say every person is beautiful in the eyes of the person that loves him. Okay? And the same thing applies to them. What can cause it? A number of things. One of them is masturbation. It can cause some jinn to be interested in you. And sometimes what the jinn do, actually they take part of the process. Second, zina in open places. I know a brother, I'm not going to say his background, he's in his 20s. He's possessed with a sea jinn, sea female jinn. And she's not just a normal jinn, she's got a rank. I was speaking to him and I was checking on him, going through doing diagnosis for him. And I was trying to find a reason why she's interested in him. He said to me, and we're talking after that, we finished, I couldn't find a clear reason why she would be interested, because there's always a reason that triggers it. Until we sat for lunch, we're sitting down, we're eating lunch, and he said to me, I used to be involved in relationships. I said, yeah. He goes, I used to do haram things, sexual relationships. But alhamdulillah, I repented. And I said to him, where do you used to make him? He said, I used to go to this public place that's next to my high school. It was a co-ed high school, I think. He goes, we used to go in the park, and there was a lake there. and we used to always do it there. What has happened is that as he regularly made more contact there, and he's doing it openly, what happened is the jinn that is present, they began to develop interest in him. As a result, he got possessed. Now, some brothers get happy. The sister that's anonymous, some brothers are saying, well, that's free. And you satisfy yourself. But this brother, he's 20 years old and his hair is white. You know why? He's not all his hair is white. He's starting to have white hair in his body. Because she forces him into relationships whether he likes it or not. So much so that now he has sexual problems. And when he refuses to make that contact, what happens to him is that he gets bashed. And he has been to doctors where they can see the bruises around particular parts of his body. And that is one of voice possession, because there's a difference between me telling a jinn, you're not supposed to be here, get out, and a jinn that is in love with that person. Because people who love people, what they're willing to do? Willing to die for them. And they'll do so. And some people think that it's easy to kill a jinn. No, when they're inside the body, it doesn't take one session or two. It takes effort depending on the age, the type, depending on what they do. It's not a game. Jinn, they work in groups. They have people that come and support them from outside. They can use ingredients that can cause them not to feel pain. They do a lot of things. And there is a sister from overseas. She had a love position. The Sheikh treated her 3 times. Treated her the first time, first stage. She became good, left it. After a while, he got back into her. The Sheikh she came back, her parents brought her back. He read on her again, went through the stage, finished, got cured. Then, 3rd time, she relapsed. Happened to her again. They brought her back to the Sheikh. The Sheikh said to her, that's a number of a Sheikh that reads. Take the number and go to him. I'm not going to treat you anymore. She said, why? He said to her, because it's impossible for him to come back to you 3 times unless you give him the access. You are doing something that is causing him to come back. Because every time he goes out, your body gets locked. If you are maintaining your adhkar, doing everything that is right, he should not be allowed to enter into your body again. But it happened 3 times, you are lying to me. I'm not lying to you. Anyway, a long conversation. At the end, he said, you are lying to me. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not willing to treat you anymore. Of course, because the fact that he got treated with him 3 times, she wanted to stick to him. Do you know what she used to do? Then she confessed. She used to spend a lot of time in the toilet. She'll go in, she'll groom herself, fix herself up, and what would she do in the bathroom? She'll sit down and masturbate. And as a result, every time she does that, what does he do? He comes back. Therefore, that type of open sins that people do can cause people to be possessed. Can cause people to be possessed. The other 2 main categories, and I'm running out of time, is the magic and hasad. We'll speak about magic next week, inshallah ta'ala. And as for hasad, we spoke about it before. We'll stop here, inshallah. Wa sallallahu nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
To listen to or download more Islamic lectures, please visit www.islamicmedia.com.au.